There are 4,467 restaurants in Lisbon. The food scene in this city is epic. Going out to eat here is like trying to decide what Netflix show to watch. Instant paralysis by analysis. So what happens if we blindly follow TripAdvisor's top 5 best rated restaurants?
Will it be a truly blissful experience or a bitter disappointment? Normally we don't use TripAdvisor as rating often don't correlate with the experience.
Perhaps you remember that Vice documentary where a guy turns a fake non-existent restaurant into number 1 on TripAdvisor in London. A city with 15,600 restaurants. Anyway, we're going into this open-minded expecting great food. We will rate each restaurant according to the Stay Classy drooling scale. It goes from 1 to 5, where 5 is max drooling a la Beethoven and 1 is peanut butter sand combo dry. In case you're wondering, dry is bad and drool is good.
The Stay Classy drooling scale will also take service, vibe and overall value for money into consideration. A restaurant can have epic food but terrible service, and that affects the taste buds.
We are starting with number 5 on TripAdvisor, which is an Indian restaurant. And interestingly enough, Indian restaurants, they always have amazing TripAdvisor reviews. How?
We have a challenge continuously. It's going to be interesting if we will have issues with her, because it's not everywhere. Dogs are allowed. Hello. Indian food is epic, but we've also been at quite a number of Indian restaurants where they ask you to rate them on TripAdvisor even before they serve the food. Anyway, we're here.
It smells legit.
I mean, Indian food is a little bit like pizza. You can't fuck it up. Number 5 on TripAdvisor is Restaurant Udaan. With a quite unique location in a hideaway back alley patio, there is certainly no touristy feel to it. Almost all reviews are positive, but there are a few not so great ones, including this one.
We are in the neighborhood of Muraiya, and it reminds me a lot of the neighborhood that I used to live in Copenhagen. It's so authentic and cozy here. I really enjoy it. We have just ordered a bunch of food that I can't pronounce, but that's how you're supposed to do in a Nepalese restaurant. Unless you're Nepalese yourself, of course, because then you could pronounce it.
I'm having a Nepalese beer, and this is from Lukla. This is that infamous, iconic airport right next to Mount Everest, where you see the planes downhill. It's like one of the shortest runways in the world. And whoa, this is a very unique lager beer. I love it.
If you have ever had a lassi, I want to know if you feel the same way. As soon as you take one little sip, it's like it disappears on you.
We got a sneak peek into the kitchen where the legitness seems to continue. This looks proper.
This is called pani puri, and it means water bowl because there is seawater inside this little thing. Oh my god.
I've never tried this.
Never.
And we've been to like 100 Indian Nepalese restaurants.
Yeah, that is crazy. It's the way it functions in the mouth as well, you know. It's like it explodes. It's so good.
Cheers.
We've been eating at so many Nepalese restaurants, yet we have never had a serving like this. This is so pretty. It's literally like a mix of good stuff. We have some roasted chicken, some pork, potato, pickles, and then we have a sauce that is made from this special red pepper that I usually don't like, so I'm excited to see if I like this one. It smells good.
And this truly reminds me of a special place we were in Singapore. I am kind of blown away. So far, TripAdvisor has been a good indication of the quality. But let's do a rating. The epicness of food was a solid 4.5. Everything tasted good, and it did feel like a culinary experience where the local Lukla beer was a nice touch. At 4.6, the service was good. Upon booking the table on the phone, we didn't feel much warmth or kindness, but the very same guy redeemed himself in person, where we felt like eating at a local family who really cared for us. Lada was also welcome and even offered water. With a 3.0, atmosphere and vibe were not great. Although it could easily become a cozy space, it felt cold and stiff. There was also a consistent smell of sewage coming from the outdoor patio, which was pretty hard to ignore.
With a total price of 23 euros, value for money couldn't get much better. Despite its flaws, the overall score of 4.2 makes Udaan a worthwhile recommendation for a quick, delicious and cheap lunch.
See you, thank you so much.
You were welcome there. Yes, you were.
If you're coming to Lisbon and you like to eat at the best restaurants and only do things worth doing, then the Classy Lisbon guide is for you. We know Lisbon better than we know ourselves. ourselves, which means that you get access to only the best things that this city has to offer. But let's see if the next TripAdvisor restaurant qualifies to our guide. So what is important to remember is that this is the top 5 best restaurants. This is not a category of restaurants, and that's why you will see a lot of variety. And now we're going to Le Bon Crêpe. It's number 3 because number 4, which we were supposed to go to, is closed today. We'll take that tomorrow. From the very center of Lisbon, we took a 15-minute Uber to the neighborhood of Alvalade. Here you don't find hordes of tourists. It's right next to the airport and far from stunning, but you do have a couple of fairly charming streets, and Le Bon Crêpe is located on one of them.
One strange thing about this whole TripAdvisor thing is that there are not many Portuguese restaurants on it, and I feel like we're in Portugal, so...
But Amelia, it's because people don't know about Portuguese food. It's stupid tourists who go to TripAdvisor.
But what do stupid tourists do out here?
Is it true you have good crêpe here?
Yeah? You want to speak English, French?
English or French?
Ah, t'es français?
No. So crêpe is the new nata.
Exactly.
That's pretty offensive to people who like pastel de nata.
To create some links and some relationship with Portuguese people.
Oh, Lara, you're welcome here. You're welcome.
So we're doing a video about the top 5 rated restaurants on TripAdvisor.
Perfect.
And we want to find out if it's true that, like, do you deserve this spot?
It's more than true. You
can.
can.
It's not really a restaurant. It's more like a dessert. Is it the dessert or is it
No,
food?
no, it's food.
It's real food.
Because in France, in our culture, it's normal to eat salty crepes.
To be honest, our crepe knowledge is pretty crappy. We didn't even know about salty crepes, and that is considered a real food in France, so we were excited to finally try it.
Everything is homemade.
What is the secret to a good crepe?
We can't say.
We could immediately tell that the 3 French guys who runs this place have their hearts in it.
I gotta say, just filming these clips was enough to make me drool like Beethoven. The combination of crunchy crepes, cheese, chicken and guacamole looked almost reserved for adults only. And even more so with this saucy caramel crepe.
It's all made like the French way.
Little did I know that the French way of having a crepe is a salty crepe. But
So it's an actual meal, it's not just dessert.
No, exactly. You can eat it without being sad, I guess, and feel guilty. Although this is like a junk heaven. It's crispy chicken.
How do you eat? Is it with fork and knife?
Yeah.
Not like a
Taco.
burrito.
No.
It's the crepe, you know. And then you wash it down with the cider.
This certainly feels like a cheat meal. Oh my god.
The main one is nice, but this is what you come for.
At 4.5, the food was definitely on the spectrum of epicness, where especially the caramel crepe was epic. However, the salty chicken crepe wasn't as overwhelmingly tasty as it looked. Service couldn't get any better. They were friendly, warm and effective.
Atmosphere and vibe were also decent with good music. However, it did feel more like a to-go pastry shop than a sit-down restaurant, where a warmer and more inviting interior decor would have completed the place.
At 21 euros for 2 crepes, a Coke and a small cider, it definitely isn't expensive, but also not super cheap, as 1 crepe probably isn't enough to fill your tummy. With an overall score of 4.5, the Beethoven drooling was noticeable.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
It's God's work you do here. The service and the friendliness.
They are so nice.
And you know, I think that's such an important part of a restaurant visit, that the service is good. Like a good meal can turn sour if the service is bitter. I hope this continues.
Le Bon Crêpe certainly qualified for our guide. The cool thing about our app is that it's interactive with a map that always shows you nearby things to see, do and eat. That way you instantly become a local.
In our guide you find over 150 restaurants, bars, cafes, museums and points of interest. And every one of them comes with a personal text from us with insider knowledge. You even find our videos from many of these hotspots. What a beautiful morning. It's brunch time at number 2 in Lisbon.
We are heading to 7th Brunch Chado now, and we have been reading some of the amazing reviews here on TripAdvisor, and one of them actually say cozy but busy breakfast spot, and that is very typical for all the brunch places here in Lisbon. I think it's because there's so many tourists and expats here and everyone wants to go out for a nice brunch.
One guy writes, best brunch in town, but only 4 stars out of 5, which is kind of hilarious. Disappointing and confused by high star reviews. We were expecting really good food. However, this felt like nothing more than a student joint. So normally I only have coffee for breakfast, but the sign said that one mimosa a day keeps the worries away, so obviously I had to test the mimosas here. Approved, what was almost not approved was Lara. We were actually rejected, but then we said we'd be real nice by the door, and then it's like, okay.
They were super nice, to be honest.
I wouldn't say super nice, but let's test the coffee. There is no artwork on the lattes here, which is a huge disappointment. So, it's an oat latte. I think this is an almond. Almond det her. Of the 4 brunches available, we chose American and Lisbon. Upon serving, we weren't very impressed. It mostly looked like 2 plates from a mediocre hotel buffet. The only nice touch was a caldo verde soup, which is basically Portugal's national dish.
You did not try your fruit that I got there.
I mean, it's okay, but for me, it's nowhere near like a blissful experience. It's pretty normal, like a normal brunch. I think this is a good example on how you shouldn't follow TripAdvisor blindly.
I think food-wise, we could go anywhere else to eat the same food, and I know brunch places that I would prefer over this one for sure. So instead of going to 7, you should come here to Seagull Method. Much better value for money and much better quality of food. Also, we think the atmosphere here is much greater.
This is how you make a pancake. No Nutella, and yet it's much better. This brunch spot is of course also in our guide, but if you're more into burgers, check out the second best burger spot at Dallas Burger Joint. In our guide you of course also find Lisbon's #1, and it's Beethoven Epic. So on the Stay Classy drooling scale, Beethoven was nowhere to be seen. It was more of a peanut butter sand combo with this raw bacon and no wow factor whatsoever. Me and Amalie did not agree on the service, but we met on 4.0. They were nice enough, but the smiles didn't seem heartfelt.
The atmosphere and vibe were okay, but we do agree that there's a student vibe along with 2 cramped spaces for the amount of people that can be seated. With a 2.7 score, value for money was not great. At almost 50 euros, it immediately entered tourist trap territory. You know, places where they charge 5 euros for a glass of wine when the bottle is 4 euros in the supermarket. With an overall score of 3.4, it was hard to see why this mediocre brunch spot is so highly regarded.
Can I also just add that brunch as a concept is a little outdated. Brunch was invented back in the early 2000s to allow new parents to get drunk while their kids were in the carry-ons. Stroller.
Stroller.
So we're closing in on #1, but now we have to visit #4, Il Mercato. This is an Italian restaurant where one of the reviews here says it's a classy Italian restaurant.
Caos também está permitido dentro? No? Okay. Oh, we're so lucky we can sit outside, Lara.
So when you go to an Italian restaurant, you have this checklist. Do they have Pellegrino? Yes. Do they have delicious focaccia bread? Right upon sitting down, yes. Do they have an epic wine menu with some of the best Italian wine? Yes. And is this place beautiful? Yes. I can't believe we haven't been here. They're actually pouring a proper glass of red wine. Not, down to here, which they are starting to do some places here in Lisbon. I don't like that.
So the concept here is that it's of course a restaurant, but it's also a market where you can go buy fresh pasta and flowers and wine, olive oils and stuff. When you look at the ingredients that they have in there, I already have really high expectations of the food. So when we stayed in Rome, we found this tiny little carbonara place that was crazy, better than anything we ever had in Italy. And if this can even compete with that, I think we found probably the best Italian restaurant in all of Lisbon. Tastes like it has nutmeg. Oh my god, this is so good. It is so close to the one we had, Jon. You're gonna love this.
It's not better though.
Probably the best I've had out of Italy.
Beethoven.
This is ravioli with truffle. A good Italian restaurant is good when they know how to make Italian food, but also when they use just the highest quality of ingredients. And that is certainly the case here. This restaurant deserves its rating so far.
This could be one of the best restaurants in Lisbon, one of my new favorite places in all of Lisbon.
This is truly a blissful experience, and I feel like I'm in Rome. And with a true Italian tiramisu hitting all the right spots, Beethoven had officially entered the building. With a 4.8 score, we were drooling from the very start. It was simply just spectacularly delicious. At 4.6, service was excellent and kind. Only drawback was that we were served by a variety of different waiters, which made it somewhat superficial.
Atmosphere and vibe couldn't get much better. The green outdoor area located in this spacious patio with several other restaurants gave a cozy vibe where you felt like you were at the right place. Given the quality of everything, we were surprised how fair prices were. We couldn't believe this was almost the same price as the student brunch. With an overall score of 4.7, the whole experience was a home run.
The time has come. You've been waiting for it. What is number one? We're going to test it out right now because we're going to Estou Mercearia. And this is a Portuguese contemporary restaurant. I've never seen a place that has so brilliant reviews, and it says dog friendly.
And I think estou, that's what the Portuguese say when they pick up the phone.
Estou, which means estou, I'm here.
We haven't even entered yet, and I can already tell now that this is gonna be good because they're serving some of the best products from Portugal. Because they're also selling things in here.
Having lived in Portugal for 5 years, it felt good to be home again. We loved this place immediately. It lived up to this sign, and you could tell these people love Portugal.
It's a photo spot.
Oh, nice. We arrived super early to this restaurant because we wanted to get a table. And that means that it's actually breakfast time here now. But he was so nice, the guy, the owner here, that he made us a trio of some very traditional Portuguese snacks, which is the meat pastel. I actually don't know the name of this because we never ordered this. And then you have the alheira, which is amazing. And then you have pastel de bacalhau, which is like the codfish pastry that is very, very traditional here in Portugal. Wow. Before we really settled down here in Portugal and knew anything about the food, we thought that a pastel de bacalhau is supposed to be eaten with the queijo da serra, which is like a cheese, very strong cheese from the mountains of a nature park here. But we have developed now. We know that a good pastel de bacalhau is without the cheese from Serra da Estrela. And it usually is made with potato, codfish, parsley, garlic. Yeah, still one of my favorite snacks in Portugal. It's freaking good.
We drove 400 kilometers to taste this in the north of Portugal because that's where they make these alheira.
Alheira is actually a sausage that dates very far back. Back then, the Portuguese people, they wanted to get rid of all the Jews. They wanted to hunt them out. And the Jews, they really wanted to stay, so they said that they were Christian. And one of the ways that they wanted to trick the Portuguese people were to actually hang out sausages, which usually were made from pork meat, so that the people would think that they were integrated in the religion of Christianity instead of Judaism. In the sausage, instead of adding pork as you would normally do, they added game meat and bread. That makes the alheira completely different to a sausage, but yet it was similar enough to trick the Portuguese people to think that it was actually pork.
Oh my god. I swear to God. And the real question is, does this compare?
As moças mais lindas do bairro operário.
So everything here is from Portugal, everything. And just when you film around here, it's pretty amazing just how many delicacies you find here in Portugal. I mean, Portuguese people are just excelling when it comes to gin, olive oil, wine, anything you can eat and indulge in. And I am literally salivating here. This is like bread and cheese from Azores.
Aldeia da meia praia, ali mesmo ao pé do lago.
Holy.
I am Beethoven right now.
This bite right here.
Does this trump the spaghetti from Il Mercato?
It's different. I will say there are two restaurants that stands out from this food tour, and that will be Il Mercato, the pasta place we went yesterday, and this place.
Amelia, we eat it based on our weight, so it's not 50-50.
As if it couldn't get better, we sank our teeth into this caramel bad boy croissant, and oh my god. Wow. This place is not overrated. I don't know if you can say that deserve to be number one. I think it's stupid to even say number one, you know, because out of 4,452 restaurants, yeah.
After living here for a long time, I feel like I can pick up a pastel di nata and I can feel if it's gonna be okay or not. This is gonna be hell of a pastel di nata.
With 4.9, it was truly fantastic. Service was friendly and efficient. The owner was looking after us non-stop. Ambience and vibe was nice too. It felt homey and we were lucky enough to get the table in the back, which made it even better. Overall value for money was great with a bill less than 30 euros.
What do you say? I like this taste. Is there more food here?
There was more food. In fact, we ordered a bottle of wine and 2 more dishes to see if the same high level would apply. This small cheese boat was very delicious, but at 14 euros it seemed pricey. We were especially excited to try their pica-pau, which is a typical Portuguese meat dish we truly love. Unfortunately though, the meat was chewy and the sauce didn't resemble the pica-pau sauce we normally love so much.
In the Classy Lisbon guide, you find the best Portuguese restaurants, including Misterias, which has the best pica-pau. I swear it's worth coming to Lisbon alone for that dish.
Additionally, the price of 15.5 euro made their lunch menu seem weirdly expensive compared to the breakfast menu. This meant we had to revise the epicness of food and value for money, which changes the overall score from 4.6 to 4.5.
So what's the conclusion? Was this a blissful experience? Yes and no. Il Mercato and Sto were phenomenal and we enjoyed trying out these new restaurants. But as veteran food addicts, we do have our preferences. Here's an example of an Indian restaurant we went to later that week.
So here we're sitting at another Indian restaurant, and this is just as good and probably even better and more interesting. But I mean, the bottle of wine here is priced at the same as the whole meal at the other place we're sitting right now. And the point of this is that you can't just say that this is the best Indian place, you know? It's all different. This is probably one of the best Indian experiences we've had, and it's not top 5 on TripAdvisor.
There are so many great restaurants in Lisbon that it doesn't make sense to purposely seek out number 1, 2 and 3. We've been to numerous restaurants around Lisbon that easily compete and even trump these restaurants. A Nossa Casa, Sushi Pocha, Comstatesa, Mescararia, Pizza Hut. Okay, not Pizza Hut, but the list is long, so consider getting our Lisbon guide with all these restaurants along with hotels to stay at and best things to do and see.
With the Classy Lisbon guide, you even get access to our 1, 3, 5 and 7-day itineraries. Use our code HANGRY and get a 30% discount, and we promise you will never be hangry during your visit to Lisbon. Mwah.